ये मैं यहाँ पे खोल लूँ. Chale, this one I told you an equation is like a recipe. It's got ratios in which things are going to react, and those ratios are for moles only. तो आपने बस ratio use करना है कि if this is 3.47 moles, I mean, the equation tells you that 4Na reacts with 1O2 and produces 2. I mean, that's the ratio in which things are going to react and things are going to get produced. So 3.47, so 4 ratio 1, 3.47 ratio x. So it's basically 3.47 divided by 4 into 1. You'll find the moles of this thing. इसके निकालने तो it's going to be 3.47 divided by 4 times 2 and you'll get the moles of this thing. So all you have to do is you have to, in most cases, just apply ratios. कि अगर ये 3.125 है, divide by 5 into 1, you'll find the moles of this thing. 3.125 divided by 5 into 1, you'll find the moles of this thing. So anyways, last time we did two formulas. We've done two formulas, and that is how do you find out moles? One of them is moles is equal to, इसको बड़ा कर ले. अच्छा, one of them is moles is equal to mass divided by molar mass. You can figure out the moles. ठीक है, molar mass is the mass that is given in the periodic table. Second, हमने last time किया था. The second one I told you is concentration. So the second one is concentration, which is that's concentration is it applies to solutions. Or concentration में क्या होता है कि you've got how many particles in a particular volume. So you count particles, you count those particles in moles. So you've added these many moles of whatever you've added, sugar add ki hai, salt add ki hai, whatever has been added to the solution, right? It's the number of particles that you've added of that particular substance in a particular volume. Okay, so it's number of particles divided by the volume, and the volume must be in dm cube. वो भी मैंने explain किया था कि you've got cm cube, you've got meter cube, and you've got a dm cube that's somewhere in the middle. dm is decimeter, that's 10 centimeters. So the formula is concentration is moles over volume, or you can just write it moles is concentration times volume. So that was another formula for finding moles, but that only applies to solutions. Or it's been a cm cube, dm cube, meter cube conversion. You must know of that. Okay, so that was one thing, and we did a couple of questions. We did a couple of questions related to that. Okay, I told you that 25 grams of copper carbonate reacts with 100 cm of phosphoric acid, and you're being asked to figure out the concentration and the mass of the salt produced. So I told you that the main task when you're solving a moles question is you might have an equation that will be given to you. Okay, that's the first thing. But the first task is that you figure out from the data, you should figure out the moles of any one of the substances. इनमें से किसी एक के ना moles figure out कर लो. So 25 grams of copper carbonate, you can obviously figure out the moles of 25 grams divided by the molar mass, okay, whatever the copper carbonate molar mass is, and you'll figure out the moles. Once you figure out the moles, it's pretty easy to figure out the moles of every other thing. Okay, 0.202 divided by 3 into 2, that gives you the moles of this substance. 0.202 divided by 3 times 1, that will give you the moles of this thing. So once you have the moles, he was asking for the concentration of phosphoric acid. The concentration, the formula हमने किया था, which was moles over volume. So we have the moles, and the volume was given in the question. It was 100 cm cube, which was 0.1 dm cube, and we were able to figure out the moles. We were able to figure out the concentration. इसका उसने mass निकालने को कहा होता. Mass का formula क्या है? That's moles is equal to mass divided by molar mass. So you had to figure out the mass. You already knew the moles, right? So you just have to multiply it by the molar mass. You'll find the answer. As anyway, so most questions are about. पहला काम जो करना है ना आपने, that is you somehow find the moles of any one of the substance. Once that happens, the rest is easy. You just have to figure out the ratio, and you can find out the moles of all the other things. So I'll do a third formula now for moles, which is, or mainly 3 main formulas. Okay, we'll do the rest of the things later, but this is like 90% of moles. The third formula is about gases. So moles. So that's what the third formula is about. It's about gases, moles, and gases. Now this. So now this third formula. इसके अंदर क्या होगा कि it's if you have a certain amount of gas, a certain moles of gas. Remember, gases are like far apart. It's a container, so that particular gas is going to occupy a certain volume. So let's say these are my gas particles, and these are freely moving around. Okay, gases where the particles are usually freely moving around. So if you have a certain amount of gas, it's going to occupy a certain volume. So balloon में नहीं है, जितनी ज़्यादा gas आप add करोगे, the volume continues to increase. If you add more gas to this container, you need a bigger container, right? It's because there's more gas in it, right? So gas का volume जो है वो, if you add more particles, like if you have a balloon and you add, इसको balloon बना लेते हैं बल्कि, ठीक है इसको, ठीक है that example, let's say you've got a balloon, right? You continue to add more moles of particles, the balloon will continue to expand. So that means if you have 1 mole of gas, then that 1 mole of gas will occupy a certain volume. You get 1 mole of gas में कितने particles होंगे? It's going to be 6.02 times 10 to the power 23 molecules of gas, right? It's going to be a lot of particles. 6.02 times 10 to the power 23. Just hold on 1 second. अच्छा ये वापस 1 mole of gas. That means a lot of particles. That means 6.02 times 10 power 23 particles or molecules, whatever the gas is, right? So that's going to occupy a certain volume, and that volume at room temperature, that particular volume at room temperature is 24 decimeter cube. And that only happens at room temperature. 24 decimeter cube is like 24 liters. But 1 liter, like if you have a 1 liter Pepsi bottle, that's 1 decimeter cube. Just to give you an idea what a decimeter cube is. So it's like 24 Pepsi bottles, right? So 1 mole of gas occupies that much volume. So this one is and it only does that at room temperature and pressure. So which is known as RTP, okay? You can remember if you heat this balloon up, the same number of particles, the balloon will expand because remember gases expand. They gain kinetic energy if you have some idea. Okay, if you heat gases, you know, hot days when things they burst or they expand. Gases are capable of expansion. Like if this gas particle gains energy, then it will expand. It will bump into the walls of this balloon, and the balloon will eventually expand. The gases का जो volume होता है ना, that's not fixed. So it's important that if you're measuring the volume of a gas, what temperature and what pressure you're using, right? So you have to be very specific about that. So 1 mole of gas occupies this much volume. Or it's simple. If you have 2 moles of gas, the volume that would be required would be double. Okay? But अगर 2 moles of gas है, तो उसका मतलब number of particles double हो गए. So you need a much bigger volume to accommodate 2 moles of gas, right? So 1 mole of gas occupies 24 dm cube. कोई वैसे explain करते हैं just using ratios. What volume will be occupied by 2 moles of gas? Anyone? Like
2 multiplied by 24.
ठीक है तो double हो जाएगा. That's going to be
48.
48 dm cube, right? So ठीक है, but it's obvious. So just remember कि room temperature पे, यानी जिस temperature पे अभी आप बैठे हुए हो, 1 mole of particles of gas will occupy a certain volume. ठीक है, अगर balloon fill करोगे तो balloon का एक certain volume होगा, and that's going to be 24 dm cube. That's like 24 Pepsi bottles, right? तो अगर 2 moles of gas होंगे तो that will be, the volume will be doubled, right? If you have 3 moles of gas, then it's going to be let's say 10 moles of gas. So 10 moles of gas will be, so that's going to be 240 dm cube, right? Just using the same ratio. So there's a simple formula. You don't actually have to do ratios, or you can do ratios, right? If somebody tells you, give me 5 moles of gas, you can just do ratios that 1 mole of gas occupies 24 dm cube. So 5 moles will occupy how much? You can actually do ratios. But there's a simple formula for doing that, and that is the moles of gas is equal to the volume of gas divided by the molar volume, which is 24 dm cube. Molar volume is the volume that is occupied by 1 mole of gas. Okay, so this one is often referred to as
Uh, 24 decimeter cube is the mass of 1 molar.
24 decimeter cube is the volume occupied by 1 mole of gas. अगर 1 mole of gas है ना, 1 mole of gas में बहुत ज़्यादा particles होंगे. It's going to be 6.02 times 10 power 23. So that's going to be a lot of particles, right? ये तो मैंने से idea दिया है. 1 mole of gas होंगे तो it's going to occupy a certain volume, right? And that volume is 24 dm cube. ठीक है? तो मतलब ये basically idea है कि ये जो balloon है ना, इसका जो volume होगा ना, that's going to be, अच्छा, that's going to be and it's going to have 1 mole of particles. 2 moles होंगे तो वो size बड़ा होगा, ठीक है? It's going to be a much bigger volume. Is that clear? But ये वाला part clear? Is this clear to everyone? Is this clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
अच्छा, so this formula over here is the same thing. कि हमने क्या किया था? 1 mole of gas occupies 24 dm cube. 2 moles of gas will occupy 48 dm cube. So just plug in 2 moles. So 2 gets multiplied by 24, and what volume will you get? You'll get 48 dm cube, right? 10 moles of gas will occupy how much? 240 dm cube, right? Using this ratio. If you have 10 moles of gas, it's going to occupy 240 dm cube. So if I just plug in 10 moles into this formula, if I have 10 moles, so I can figure out the volume of gas. You get 10 moles, 10 moles. It's going to be divided by what? It's going to be divided by 24. Making volume the subject of the equation, I'm going to get 240 dm cube. Okay, so remember, this formula is just the same thing. It's just the same thing. So you just it's better. You're better off using the formula because you don't have to do crisscross in this way. So, for example, tell me how many moles will if I have 72 dm cube of oxygen gas, how many moles is this?
Three.
ठीक है, तो रेशियो से तो क्लियर पता लग रहा है कि it's going to be 3 moles, right? But let's use the formula that if I've got 72 dm cube, how many moles is that? Moles is volume of gas, which they've given me, 72 dm cube. And I'm going to divide that by 24 dm cube, which is the molar volume. So it's going to come out to be 3 moles. As a vice versa, if I have, let's say, if I have 10,000 cm cube of oxygen gas. So how many moles is this? I said, remember all your volumes must be in dm cube. The formula here, moles is volume of gas. What is 10,000 cm cube in dm cube? You just divide by 1,000, right? तो वो क्या होगा? It's equal to 10 dm cube.
10.
तो उसको कैसे डिवाइड करना है? मोलर वॉल्यूम से that's 24 dm cube, right? So 10 divided by 24. Can anyone tell me what the answer for that is?
Zero 0.42.
416. 0.417.
So 3 significant figures. Okay, so 0.417 moles, right? So clear that it's just simple ratios, but you can use this formula to figure out the moles if the volume of gas is given. But this only applies to gases. I mean, you obviously can't do volume of gas. And if something is not a gas, you can't use this formula. So it's only applicable to two gases. So the question is going to be kind of similar. We just have another formula, which is that formula is that you can actually find the volume of a gas. So for example, I'll do an example question. And in this question, let's say I've got I've got aluminium carbonate. Aluminium carbonate का क्या formula होगा? It's going to be Al is group 3, so it's +3, and carbonate is
CO3.
-2, right? So formula क्या होगा? So Al2
CO3.
CO3 thrice, ठीक है? Plus, let's say it's reacting with nitric acid. Nitric acid is HNO3. So now carbonate plus acid will produce salt, water, and carbon dioxide. So
Aluminium nitrate.
So water and carbon dioxide will be produced. This the carbonate turns into carbon dioxide, the H and carbonate, they form water and carbon dioxide. What is left is Al and NO3, right?
Yes.
So uska formula dobara bana lo ki Al is group 3, so that's +3, and NO3 is nitrate, that's -1. So it's going to be Al, NO3 thrice. Okay. As anyways, we have the equation now, and I need to balance the equation. So if I try to balance this equation, it's going to be Al the way. So it's going to be twice, right? So this thing will be twice because there are two ALs on the other side. Easy ones. And how many ends do I have? I've got one over here, bracketed by this 3, so that means there's 3 ends, and you got 2 molecules, so that's 6 ends. There's only 1 end over here, so I'll multiply this entire thing by 6. Okay, balance the easy ones first. I've got 6 H's. I had 1 H in nitric acid, but I've got 6 molecules now. So that's 6 hydrogens. So I'm going to multiply this by 3. Okay, the water will multiply 3, so that's 6H. Balance the easy ones. Carbons, how many carbons do I have? Bracket ke andar I just have 1, and bracket by that's 3. So that means 3 carbonates. So that's 3 carbons. So I'm going to multiply this thing by 3. As anyways, if you balance the easy ones, the difficult one automatically gets balanced. Okay, how many oxygens? That's 9. How many oxygens over here? That's 18. 6 into 3, that's 18. So 18 plus 9, that's 27, right? So यहाँ पे कितने oxygens? So that's 9. NO3 thrice, so that's 9 oxygens. 2 molecules, that means 18 oxygens over here. Plus 3 oxygens over here, so that's 21 oxygens. Plus 6 oxygens over here, so that's 21 plus 6, that's 27. So जो मुश्किल वाला है, that automatically gets balanced. Anyways, that's the equation. Okay. So the carbonate plus acid gives you salt, water, and carbon dioxide. Remember, we did 4 equations. Make sure you memorize what is nitric acid, what is sulfuric acid. Okay. board का link भी send किया था. I'll share the PDF of that board link as well. So anyways, you have this reaction. The equation is in front of you. You have the ratio that one molecule reacts with 6 nitric. It reacts with 6 nitric acid molecules, and it ends up producing 2 molecules of this, 3 of this, and it produces 3 of these, right? So ये आपका reaction है. And the question states, the question has given you certain information. So let's write down the question. Remember, question is like a word problem. So you have to just like a math equation, you just have to extract information from there. So they're saying that 50 cm cube of 0.25 mole per dm cube nitric acid completely reacts. So find out the mass of aluminum carbonate that is used up. So number one. Make sure you have your calculators with you. Find the mass of aluminum carbonate that is needed for this reaction. And second part is find the volume of carbon dioxide that is produced. Now CO2, hopefully everyone knows, is a gas. Okay? So no question, it's a simple question. But the first thing is, when you have an equation, you have to find the moles of any one substance. Now, based on the data that's given to you, you can easily figure out the moles of, kiske moles nikaloge? 50 cm cube of 0.1 mole per dm cube nitric acid. So based on the data that's provided to you, color change karna. As now, based on the data that's provided to you, you can figure out the moles of nitric acid. Solutions, when mole per dm cube, that's concentration. So when concentration is given, how do you find out moles? Moles is, kya hoga? Moles is concentration times volume. Okay, moles is concentration times volume, and the concentration is 0.25 or mole per dm cube. Remember, everything should be in dm cube, so volume must be in dm cube. So 50 cm cube, that will be, how do you convert 50 cm cube into dm cube? That's divided by 1000.
Divide by 1000.
That's ठीक है. So how many moles do you get for this?
0.05.
0.5? ये वो तो इसका होगा.
0.0125.
So you're going to get 0.0125 moles. हाँ ये clear है? हाँ क्यों clear है? Or why is this clear? You're going to get 0.0125 moles. Clear है? Unclear? Zaria, is this clear? अच्छा, so
Yes.
So एक के moles पता लग गए. You found the moles of nitric acid, right? This one. और पूरे question में, हर moles के question में, you'll be given a problem statement. You just have to find out the moles of any one of the things in the equation. Once you do that, बाकी ratios है. So you found out if this is 0.0125 moles, right? In the reaction. Now, using this, you can figure out the moles of everything in the equation. Like if I want to find the moles of this thing, it's going to be 0.0125 divided by 6 into 1, right? This के moles आ जाएंगे. So it's going to be, ये निकालो जरा क्या आ रहे हैं? 0.0125 divided by 6 times 1. 0.0125 divided by 6 times 1. और इसके निकालने हैं तो 0.0125 divided by 6 times 2, right? if you want to find the moles of carbon dioxide, that's going to be 0.0125 divided by 6 times 3. या फिर वो बैठ के रेशियो लगा लो 6:3 है तो 0.0125 रेशियो x अच्छा anyways 0.0125 divided by 6 times 3 अच्छा इसका मुझे बताओ कि पहले वाले का did anyone try and find this one how many moles did you get
Sir, for the first one, the mass of aluminum 2 carbonate thrice needed. Why didn't we use the formula mass is equal to
नहीं
moles over?
नहीं अभी तो moles हम निकाल रहे हैं अभी तो I haven't tried to figure out moles now.
Okay.
2.08.
Yes. कितना है 0 point? कितने moles आए इसके? What did you get for this?
2.8 and 2.08.
2.08? ये क्या होगा 2.08 किसी और ने किया
83 2.08
नहीं 0.0125 मतलब 2.083
It's 2.083 multiplied by 10 to the power of -3.
अच्छा multiplied by 10 power -3 ठीक है that's the moles अच्छा what about the moles of carbon dioxide did anyone try and calculate this 0.0125 divided by 6 into 3 कितने moles आए
6.25 to the power times 10 -3.
6.225
No, 6.25.
अच्छा 6.25
Yes.
अच्छा 6.25 times 10 power negative अच्छा times 10 power -3 moles right अच्छा अब ये कि it's 6.25 times 10 power -3 moles the reason I'm not finding the moles so remember your whole question would be we started over here freedom मेरे ख्याल से वो use space bar उससे ना वो you can unmute yourself और वो mute कर लो लेकिन I think space bar से ना you can unmute yourself अच्छा this one 0.0125 moles right तो मैं strategy बता रहा हूँ कि the strategy is always the same it's you find the moles of using the data you're able to figure out the moles of this thing only और इसको use करते हुए you're able to figure out the moles of everything in the equation but right now we've only found out moles question क्या कह रहा था he's not asking for the moles of Al2CO3 but the first thing is the first strategy is you find the moles of one thing and then using that you can figure out the moles of everything इसके निकालने होते हैं ना water के it would be 0.0125 divided by 6 times 3 and you'll find the moles of water as well so that is the first strategy and then once you have the moles then you can find out the other things like over here he's asking for the mass of this thing the mass वाला formula क्या है कि अब इधर ना वो mass वाला formula you can use that okay what is the formula that's moles that's just the formula is moles equals mass divided by the molar mass right now to use this formula the first thing is you need moles or we have the moles it's 2.08 so I'm going to plug in those values it's 2.08 3 times 10 power minus 3 moles ठीक है और क्या होगा is equal to mass that's what we are trying to figure out divided by the molar mass. So I'll tell you what the molar mass is. Al jota, that's 27. So that's 27 times 2. Carbon jota, that's 12, and oxygen is 16 in the periodic table. So plus carbon is 12, oxygen is 16. There are 3 of them, 16 into 3. So this is carbonate CO3. And there, how many? 3 of them. 2 into 3 kar diya, theek hai? So that is how I'm going to figure out. Isko thoda niche kar le. So that is how I'm going to figure out my mass. Okay, that's how I'm going to figure out my mass of Al2CO3. Or you can calculate what do you get for this?
$234.
Where about it? 232?
34.
So I'll just add one step. Okay. So mass will be equal to 234 multiplied by 2.0 E, na? And what's the final?
0.487.
Answer kya hai?
0.487.
So you're getting 0.487 grams, and that's your final answer. Okay, that's 0.487 grams, right? And similarly, he's also asking what else did the question ask? He's asking for the volume of CO2 produced. So you figure out to focus on CO2, you have the moles of CO2 now, right? The volume of gas ka, what was the formula that we did? I told you that that for gases, moles is volume of gas divided by 24 dm cube. So this formula apply, so you already have the moles. It's 6.25 times 10 power minus 3, right? Volume of gas, we'll figure out karna, that's what we have to find out. Or niche, that's 24 dm cube. So can you tell me what the volume of gas is in this case? So we're getting the volume of gas we're getting is 0.15 decimeter cube. So is this clear? Take a strategy here. That's you're given a question, you're given an equation. That's your recipe. You find out the moles of any ones. I mean, based on the data that's given to you, try and find out the moles of anything in the equation. Anything. Jiska bhi data given hoga, just try and figure out the moles of that particular thing. Once you've found out those moles using ratios, you can figure out the moles of the rest of the substances. And once you have those moles, the rest is just formulas. If they're looking for mass, just apply the mass formula. If they're looking for volume of gas, apply the volume of gas formula. That's it. So you basically have 3 formulas, and I'm going to sum this up. You have 3 formulas, and then we'll start doing past paper questions. So remember, this is like 90% of moles. You get 90% of moles.
Can you please scroll up again 1 second? Okay, done. Thank you.
So ma'am, I'm writing down all the moles formulas now, okay? That we have already covered, okay? Just a summary. First one was, how do you convert a number to moles? That was moles is equal to the number of particles. and ये main formulas है, ठीक है. As a number of particles divided by the Avogadros constant, which is 6.02 times 10 power 23. ठीक है, this is the first formula. Then you had moles is equal to mass divided by the molar mass. And it was being divided by AR or MR, whether it's an atom or a molecule. Then we did moles is for solutions, we did moles as concentration times. So it was concentration times volume. Okay, this was mole per dm cube. And the volume must be in decimeter cube. So that was my third formula, and then I had the last formula, which was moles is equal to volume of gas divided by the molar volume, which is 24. So that's the third formula. ठीक है जाहिर. So that's the third formula. अब क्या करना है कि we'll first try and practice just those questions. ठीक है, most questions would be exactly like these questions. So if I open a worksheet and okay, here O-levels IGCSE. Set the rules there. Selected questions. So where's the that's this one. IGCSE solution I'm prepare करना है just 1 second. Time खत्म होने लगा. अभी next classes में we just do past paper questions related to so I'll just do one question right now. इसी में नहीं खुलेगा. चलिए just these are just second questions. ठीक है. So for example, the first question, they gave me an equation, and they gave me the ratios in that equation. So it's 2 reacts with 6 water molecules and produces 1 of this and 3 of this. The question states, calculate the mass of calcium hydroxide formed from 912 grams of this thing. First thing, मैंने क्या कहा था कि find out the moles of any one of the substances in the equation. So यहाँ से what I can do is, they gave me the mass, so I can figure out the moles. Moles is equal to mass divided by molar mass. So the mass is given, that's 912 grams. What is the molar mass of this thing? Calcium in the periodic table is 40, so that's 40 times 3. Silicon in the periodic table is 28. Or oxygen, 5 oxygen, so that's oxygen in the periodic table is 16. Can anyone tell me quickly how many moles is this? What do you get? 912 divided by this whole thing.
4. 4 4 moles.
So you're getting 4 moles, right?
Yeah.
4 moles of Ca3SiO5. So Kamasan at 4 moles, right? Ca3SiO5. Iske 4 moles, right? 4 moles of this. So based on this, you can figure out the moles of all the other substances. 2 ratio 6. 4 divided by 2 into 6. Nikalne kiske? The mass of calcium hydroxide. So he's asking for this thing, right? He's asking for this thing. So I need to find the moles of this thing. So it's going to be 4 divided by 2 times 3. So iske moles kitne honge? 4 moles. Divided by 2. और फिर times 3, right? E banega the ratio wise 4 divided by 2 times 3. So how many moles do you get for this? क्या होगा? 4 divided by 2 into 3, that's 6. 4 divided by 2 is 2.
Yes, 6.
So basically you have 6 moles. उसकी और से क्या कहा था? Find the mass of this thing. So this is basically equal to. So he was asking you to figure the mass of calcium hydroxide. So what your formula? Moles is equal to mass divided by molar mass, right? Moles तो हमें पता है, it's 6 moles, right? Mass we need to figure out. The MR is known in calcium hydroxide. Calcium is 40 and OH twice, so that's 40 plus 16 plus 1. ये O और H हो गए, ठीक है? और वो OH twice है. So tell me what is the mass that you're getting for this? कितना है?
74.
74. So that means M is equal to 74, right?
So the total answer is 444.
It's actually 444. The answer to this is, M would come out to be 444 grams. So do you get the idea that it's exactly the same question? They gave you some value, but they give you some information. Data was given. You had 912 grams of this thing. So you were able to figure out the moles, right? You had these many moles, mass divided by molar mass. So you were able to figure out the moles of one substance. Based on that, using ratios, you can figure out the moles of any other substance. क्योंकि वो calcium hydroxide पूछ रहा था, so I went and calculated the moles of this thing. 4 divided by 2 times 3. I figured out there are 6 moles of this. और उसको बस ना वो MR से multiply करना है. That's about it. ठीक है? So, but yeah, so we'll practice more questions. Just remember these formulas. ठीक है? 4 formulas that you have to remember. बाकी बस ratios है. Once you have moles, ठीक है? That's just ratios. Volume of gas निकालना है, ये कर लो. Mass निकालनी है, ये लगा लो. Solution है तो use this formula, ठीक है? So we'll just practice a lot of questions now, ठीक है? Pass with me. I'll share this worksheet as well with you.
For the first one, number of particles, that is for